Welcome to the Lifting Lounge podcast. Join your hosts Josh Parkin and Jack Buffery as they give you the knowledge and the tools to take your physical and mental performance to the next level.
Hi.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't know why I pressed record and then started having a drink, to be honest. I'm slightly jealous of your caffeine, though. I finished mine already, and now we started recording, I want another cup of coffee.
Mate, it's just a part of the tradition now is that I have a coffee with the podcast. That's it.
I know, it's really nice, actually. We need to get some decent mugs so we can show them off. Now people watch us on YouTube. Imagine that.
Yeah. No, we're taking over the world. That's
Josh,
it.
Are we influencers now?
Mate, I influence so many people. I am such an influencer. Yeah.
Speaking of your audience, how was your mum?
She's not even one of my audience.
Brilliant. No, my mum wouldn't even know what a fucking podcast was, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah,
So my mum definitely isn't. Brilliant. Awesome. It's Sunday. We don't usually do this on a Sunday. I had some internet issues the other day, so this means we're recording on a weekend, which we haven't done in a long time. And to be honest, I'm actually feeling quite good because I've had a nice sleep. We went to the cinema last night, obviously. For some stupid reason, I came back last night and I was hyped up. Nothing to do with the fact that we went and watch a film that gets me quite hyped anyway. I came into the office and started doing some work. I was working till
Did you?
Yeah, I was working till gone midnight last night.
Dude, I went straight to bed. I went home and got straight in bed and went to sleep. I was like, nah, no chance.
Well, as you know, my internet dropped the other day and I've had to be playing catch up because it was out for 48 hours or so. So it really makes you realise how much we rely on the internet nowadays when something like that happens. So I just had to play catch up a little bit and get all my work done. Most of it was just rendering the videos for the podcast and uploading stuff to YouTube. So it's all done now. But yeah, I felt hyped up. But we'll get onto why in Geek Corner in a bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for the internet, people wouldn't be able to hear our luscious voices in their ears right now. So
do you not think we would have been headhunted for presenting radios just because of our natural capabilities that would obviously be recognised out in the wide open world?
Just because we're so good at giving people tips.
Is that a transition there?
Almost. Yeah, almost. I just wanted to know, my tip usually takes quite a while to warm up, I guess, be ready. And I was wondering if you had a quicker way of getting a tip ready to be delivered or to be consumed, I guess.
I mean, according to Rachel, if it gets any quicker, it'll be non-existent. So I don't know whether that is a good thing or not.
So I just want a quick tip today, okay? Quick tip.
Okay, I'll give you a tip. And this tip today, ladies and gentlemen, is as basic as it gets. And so basic that you can almost call me a basic bitch for giving you this tip, because this is a bandwagon I jumped on during lockdown. And I swear to God, I could be a salesman for this industry because I rock this hard. I tell everybody this tip, and I can't believe I probably have brought it up on the podcast, but I have not mentioned it as a tip yet. Very, very simple. If you haven't already got one, get yourself a fucking air fryer, because air fryers rock. Okay? There are no two ways about it.
So good.
They are. And the amount of people I speak to who have got one and just don't use it, and it stays away, tucked away like any other kitchen, convenient kitchen item or something like that. But I tell you, so if you have a large family, it can be harder because most air fryers aren't massive, but you can get oven-sized ones now, which is awesome. I know when I build my own kitchen, I am having a full-on massive oven-sized air fryer. Why do I love them so much? Because they are the two ones that I can use as the best examples of why I love them. One is sweet potato fries, because if you cook sweet potato fries in a normal oven, you have to nigh on cremate them to get them crispy because they just don't go crispy. In an air fryer, 20 minutes, the best, crispiest sweet potato fries you ever have. And you don't need to deep fry them or put any extra fat on them. And the other one is chicken wings. You will never have better cooked, yet crispy on the outside and wonderfully cooked on the inside chicken wings than you will have in an air fryer. Not to mention everything else. Plus, it reduces the cooking time. It reduces the amount of fat you need. This sounds like an ad, doesn't it? I swear we're not actually sponsored by an air fryer, but you know, Ninja, if you want to sponsor us, that's absolutely fine. Yours is Ninja, isn't it?
Oh my god, please do.
That would be pretty
mine's a
fucking
Ninja.
epic.
I've got an 11-in-1. I'm
cool.
balling over here. It's pretty cool. I can dehydrate stuff. I can steam stuff. I can steam and air fry at the same time. I can pressure cook. I can slow cook. I can just bake
steam
shit.
and air fry at the same time.
I can do whatever I wanted. Yeah. It's got a steam air fry situation going on. It's
Holy
awesome.
shit, that is fucking awesome as well. So mine isn't. So we have very different ones. Mine is like more like a traditional oven, whereas it has shelves that come out of it, and yours is like one of the ones that like the basket ones. But whichever one you go for, I promise you, people, that you will not go back. The only time we use our standard oven now is if we're cooking like a roast dinner where you need the extra room. But I have said many times, if the option comes, I will probably get rid of the oven we've got and just get another air fryer instead and just do everything in there. They're so good. Like a 1.2 kilo chicken, which will like serve a couple of people easy with plenty of protein. Instead of taking an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, it takes 45 minutes in the air fryer, and it comes up with such good crispy skin. It's insane. And you don't have to cook the fat. All the fat drips out. If you're doing bacon, it cooks bacon to perfection. And again, you don't need to cook it in fat. Same with sausages. The only two things that I still fry traditionally, there's two things I still fry, and that is a steak, because I love cooking steak properly, and eggs, because you can cook eggs in there, but I just prefer to do it on the stove, to be honest. But everything else, so much better in the air fryer.
I reckon it's healthier as well. I reckon
Definitely.
Using an air fryer is healthier because you're not having to put any of that extra oil and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with oil in the right circumstance, but it is a lot of added calories. So when you take that away and use an air fryer, and it's so much quicker. It's so much quicker.
Way more convenient. And on the point of the oil, the thing is, even if you're using a healthy like olive oil or something like that, most people will take that way past its burn point where it loses its nutritional value. Like the moment that avocado oil or the olive oil starts smoking, it really starts to lose its nutritional value. So you don't even have to use the oils in that, which means that will free up, if you are counting calories for, let's say, that will free you then up to then include healthy fats somewhere else instead of using them for cooking, which is just a fucking bonus. So if you haven't already got one, have a look into and see if you can get yourself an air fryer, because I swear to you, it is the best way to cook food in the world. Nearly. Apart from barbecues.
Yeah, definitely. There we go.
Excellent.
And we're now the best air fry salesman in the world.
Yeah, so Ninja, come at me. Although I've got a tower one, to be fair, which is still good. I might get a basket one though. But after geeking out about air fryers, let's go on to Geek Corner, shall we? Hey, we're rocking through this. We're not even 10 minutes in and we're already on Geek Corner. This is something different for us. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So, Geek Corner today. Go on, Josh. It's been a while since I've asked you to do it, and this is an easy one, and I think I've asked you to do it before for this. So let's hear your intro.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second.
All right.
Give me a second.
You gotta hold it close, because otherwise, when I edit this, it'll come out. So you gotta make sure it's not background noise.
We're about to find out.
The audience is waiting with bated breath. Like if you tie this in with the cinema.
An advert. Set that off a minute. Another advert. You're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
Okay, no, that is fine.
Everybody's gonna have to try and get. You got to guess what this is.
Perfect.
It's Geek Corner, baby.
Guys, if you don't watch this on YouTube, then I promise you need to watch this clip at least. Amazing. Hopefully we're not going to get copyrighted on that one on YouTube. We'll see what happens. But yes, last night
maybe
we went to watch Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which I think is Mission Impossible 7. I lose count. They are still rocking. They are still good. So I thought we'd give a bit of a spoiler-free review and say about what we thought of it, how we think it ties into the ones that have come before it, what we think is going to happen next, what we think of the fact that Ethan Hunt Cruise is in his 60s now and still doing the shit that he does. So do you remember, so before we get started, do you remember the very first Mission Impossible film, by the way? With him?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you remember the guy who ends up being the bad guy? And if this is a spoiler for you, you can go fuck yourself because it's like 27 years old. So shame on you for not watching it already.
Yeah.
You remember the old guy in that who was the bad guy in the end?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's a fucking long time ago.
Okay.
But
Tom Cruise. So it's Angelina Jolie's dad in real life. That guy. Tom Cruise is the same age now as that guy was in that film, which when you kind of look at it is insane. Yeah, and he's still kicking ass. And I don't if it's been a long time since you've watched it, you probably didn't notice all the callbacks to the first film because the head of the CIA guy was the same guy who was in the restaurant scene and like the head of the CIA in the very first film as well. And because of that, as a callback to the first film, they use all like the same camera. I geek out on this shit massively. They use all the same camera angles and stuff like that as like a bit of an Easter egg to it.
Yeah.
And one of the famous lines in the first Mission Impossible is, "I can understand why you're very upset." And then Ethan says, "You've never seen me very upset." And they play on that in this newer film as well. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but yeah, it's just there's little subtle references. So if you're a movie geek like myself and like all these subtle like Easter eggs to previous films, then definitely worth watching it just for that because there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, John Voight is the actor.
That's it. For the first one.
Who's from the first one. And he is 84 years of age now.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe Tom Cruise is older than he was in. Yeah, because that was back in 1996, and Tom Cruise is in his 60s. I can't do the math that quick, but I think maybe Tom Cruise then is older than he was back then, which is even more mad.
Tom Cruise is 61.
61, and that came out like 27 years ago or something like that, I think. So yeah, that's mad.
And he looks considerably better than what John Voight looked like in Mission Impossible 1. Yeah.
Definitely. There was definitely a few scenes where he was showing his age, but like fair fucking play to him. He's in his 60s. What do you expect? Do you know what I mean? Like the bit on the train at the end, I was like, that's the only bit where he looked a little bit like haggard. But he's doing these action scenes in his 60s and it's fucking insane. So this is a bit of a non-spoiler, but the if you don't know anything about the film and don't want to know anything at all and you want to go in completely blind, then skip ahead to Fit Talk. I'm not going to give any real big spoilers away, but skip ahead to Fit Talk right now. I'm going to give you 3 seconds before I start talking. 2, 1, and you're shit out of luck if you want to skip. So this film is about AI, and it it was supposed to have been released back in 2021, I believe, but the whole COVID thing like held it back a bit. But I think it's come out at a really opportune time because I think people would have struggled with the storyline if things like ChatGPT and Bard and AI wasn't making headlines every day like it is at the moment, because they had it seems almost quite sci-fi-ish if it had come out just as little as 2 years ago, and that shows how much AI has had an impact in the last 2 years. It seems really outlandish, the plot, but it's now 2 years later. It's not outlandish. It's like, holy shit! Yeah, you can see this. Like, if the general public has access to what it has to in terms of ChatGPT, imagine what government agencies have access to. So, what are your thoughts around that plot point as well and the AI stuff?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's the perfect time in terms of people understanding it. I would admit that there was points where I didn't really understand what was going on, but then it but it was still enjoyable either way. But the AI thing a few years back, nobody really fucking. I must admit, I'm thinking now back to COVID times. I wouldn't have even thought twice about AI at any point in my life, and now it's fucking everywhere. So yeah, it is the right time for it. In terms of that, it'd be interesting to see where they take it now, because where it looks like they're heading in the second part, because it's part one of two.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think that bit where they're heading was going to be important. It didn't really strike me as it was going to be important, but obviously it is. So that's going to be interesting to see how they get on with that and see what they do with that. But yeah, no, it was good. It was interesting, and it just makes AI seem really scary, doesn't it? Because it's like, oh, actually, AI can just do whatever the fuck it wants.
Yeah, and so yeah, again, without going too much into spoilers, the AI does play a big part in it. It is, like you say, it's like shit. What can it do? The one callback I will say, and this is actually goes to what you just said, is that the one thing the film I think does lack, because it is going to be a two-parter, is that we at the moment we do not know the motivations of the antagonist, of the baddies in the film. I'm not going to give too much away, but we don't know what the intent is for any of the people who are bad, which I think is one thing that film does lack a little bit, because it kind of, you know what the baddies are, who the baddies are, but you don't necessarily know what the intention is, which is kind of that's the only critique I could give of it at the moment, really. But I think obviously that's what the second one is going to be like. But I mean, what do people watch Mission Impossible for, man? They watch it for the stunts. What did you think of the big set piece stunt in this one?
So the big stunt, that was, do you know what? So I kind of knew the big stunt was happening because they'd done a piece on that prior to it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
They'd done a piece on it being the most dangerous stunt they've ever done. And when he did it, you saw how real it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my fucking God, that's scary as shit.
And that's what Tom Cruise banks on, is and the productions, is that the audience has to know that he done this for real before they see it, because that makes you even more in awe of it, because it's not just a CGI green screen thing. It is, as an audience, that Tom Cruise, again, he's 60 fucking years old when filming this, done this stunt. And I've seen that YouTube making of video as well, and it's fucking insane. What is...
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure as well.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure as well that he did that stunt twice.
Oh, he done it loads. So if you watch the video of it, there's a making of YouTube video that came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, and he spent a whole day doing it, literally just riding off. Riding off it. It's in the trailer, so again, it's not really a spoiler, but he does a crazy thing off a cliff on a motorbike, and because he done it for real, he just spent the whole day doing it because he just wanted to get it nailed in right. So it was insane. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the next film's big stunt piece is going to be underwater, because that kind of lends itself to being that.
Yeah,
I reckon that'll be it. But one more question, quick, before I move on to the next part of the Geek Corner, is what is your favorite Mission Impossible stunt so far?
Oh man, was it Mission Impossible where he broke the record for the longest breath hold until somebody else broke it?
Yeah, Kate Winslet beat it for Avatar, The Way of the Water.
But
yeah, he'd done that for, I can't remember if it was Fallout or the one before Fallout, where he had to hold his breath to like go into a cooled server in a computer room to take out something, because that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did do the halo jump, which was pretty insane.
That was pretty fucking insane as well. Oh, was that? Yeah, that was definitely the last
Yeah.
one. Maybe the water one was the film before. I can't remember, to be honest. Okay, so let's put this in a different way.
Do you know what,
Go on.
no, I was going to say the most iconic for me is the rock climbing in Mission Impossible. Is it Mission Impossible 2?
Yeah, Mission Impossible 2, man, that is brilliant. Just
Yeah.
because of the soundtrack and everything with it as well, and the way he
Yeah.
falls. Yeah, I've seen a breakdown of that by professional climbers, and they're just like, no, you wouldn't do that, but I don't care. It's a fucking epic scene. It is so really. Alex Honnold, he does a breakdown of it, but yeah, it is such a good scene. It is really good. Okay, so in terms of the stunts that he's done, so the original one in the first film was the laser room, basically going down, doing that thing, going down into the room where he's like got a balance, which he done as well. He done that, and like the core strength needed for what he does in that is fucking insane. But he used to be a gymnast, which is where it comes from. In number 2, you've got the rock climbing, but you've also got he dives through the air conditioning system of a giant building in the middle of the fucking city. In number 3, I think it's that he does the pendulum swing. I don't know if you remember that, between 2 buildings, and basically jumps off one end, swings off, lets himself off the rope, and lands on the other one. In number 4, this is my personal favorite, is the Burj Khalifa climb. I love the Burj Khalifa climb. I reckon that's awesome. Oh God, what was 5? I get confused on 5 and 6. I can't remember what the big stunt was in 5. That might have been the water one, and the halo jump might have been 7, but it might have been 6. But I can't remember if maybe they were both in 6, and I'm forgetting what number 5 was.
Halo jump was. I've got it here. So the halo jump was 6. It was in Mission Impossible Fallout, and in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation was the plane where he hung off the plane.
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about that. That was a great scene as well. Yeah.
There's a helicopter chase in Fallout.
Oh, that was insane as well. Yeah, and he'd done that as well, which was mental. Go on.
In Fallout, he had loads. He had that jump over the roof in
London.
Where
he broke his ankle,
where he injured himself. So Rogue Nation was the underwater scene.
Okay, Rogue Nation was. So that was number 5. Okay, so now we've got all of those down. Which one of those would you, include in the new one, would you most like to have a crack at? Knowing with all the safety stuff and everything, like just the way that he's done it, because obviously he was safetied up to fuck.
Yeah.
But which one of those stunts?
If I got taught how to do it,
yeah,
if I got taught how to do it, I'd do the halo jump.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll probably do the same one, to be honest. That would be fucking amazing. Yeah, that's really, really good. The other one is I would just also like to, because I remember this production video of him sitting on the tallest spire of the Burj Khalifa, which, if you don't know what the Burj Khalifa is, guys, this building is over 1 kilometer tall, and he's sitting right on the top of it, like on the very highest radar, on the very highest point of the Burj Khalifa. It is fucking insane. I think that'd be great.
Wow.
Fun.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking impressive.
That is pretty impressive. But in general, what are your thoughts? If you had to give it a rating out of 10, what would you give this film?
I'd give it a 7.3. I think it was good. It was a bit confusing in parts. If you take it for what it is and enjoy it, it's really good. I think I really liked what's she called? Is it Pom Clementieff? Is that her name?
Yeah, she's amazing in it. I've got a new crush because of her.
She's really amazing. Yeah, well, because I've only ever seen her as Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is completely different. And then in this one, she's like ferocious. She's awesome in this one.
I think her character in particular, and there's a nightclub scene in it. It gave me very big John Wick vibes for a second, just because. Yeah, that kind of style with it, but she's just batshit crazy and quite fun. Which, she's a really cool character, and yeah, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to the next film to see all this. So I'm with you on around the 7-ish on that. I'm going to go for just a solid. I'm going to go for a 7.5, just a fraction higher, but my rating might change when the second one comes out because it's part one of two. I will have to judge it by what comes next. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the second one. Hopefully, it'll be next year. There are a load of strikes going on at the moment, though, so that's probably going to halt everything in production for another 6-7 months or so. So we'll see what happens there. But
yeah, I mean they've halted. Have you seen the news on Deadpool's been halted because of
yeah,
it?
everything has. All the Marvel projects have. Avatar has as well. So one of the guys, I think it was his name, Brian Cox. He said in an interview the other day this could potentially go on until at least the winter. It could hold everything up for like 6 to 7
Oh
months.
wow!
Speaking of Brian Cox and spies, I've finally got Kimberly to watch the first Born Identity film the other day. It's really good.
Oh wow!
Yeah, well,
Great.
our internet was out, so I've got it on Blu-ray. So we decided to watch it, which is really cool, and she actually enjoyed it. There is, because it's an old film, though, there is a bit right at the end that is very, very terrible green screen that you wouldn't have noticed back in the days before full-on HDR videos, though, which is real funny.
Yeah.
I have got another bit on Geek Corner, but I'm actually going to leave that for next time because I think we'll leave it on the subject of spies on this one. So let's move on to the stuff that we actually do professionally, shall we? And go on to a little bit of fit talk. So this one, I think, is just going to be a nice conversation to have to highlight some things. And we're on a bit of a nutrition kick this week. As you've already seen, if you're on a Facebook group, we've launched the Fix My Diet protocol, which is just our way of giving back to the community, helping you, giving you value. So I thought, just along those lines, I'm going to combine a bit of exercise and diet on this Fit Talk. And that is, in your personal and professional experience, what is harder for people to stick to out of exercise and diet?
Oh, I mean that's easy. That's really easy. Generally, I've found that people struggle more when it comes to diet. They've always struggled more when it comes to diet. And it's really interesting because Nick Mitchell, the founder of Ultimate Performance, talks about this all the time, and he says actually, in the terms of the science and what it actually is, nutrition is easy, but everybody finds it really hard, and the training is more complicated, but everybody finds it really easy. It's especially with us with PTs, I guess, because we're there, it's easy to tell people to train and them to stick to it. However, as soon as they get home, it's so easy for them to fall off the wagon on their diets or struggle with that. I think people have more of an emotional attachment to their food than they do with their training. So it's easy for them to get pulled the wrong way when it comes to food.
Yeah. And there's so much more temptation out there for food as well. Plus, it's something you you have to do multiple times every single day is eat. Whereas working out, you can probably get away with 3 times a week to have really good fucking results. And that's just like 3 hours you've got to give up. I mean, along the lines of what Nick Mitchell was saying, that there's a big difference between being easy and being simple. So something can be very easy to do, but not be simple, or something can be very hard to do, but it is very simple. So that's the thing. So nutrition, I think, can be complicated for, I would say, about 5 to 10% of the population. For the other 90, I would say nutrition can be nailed down really fucking easily, to be honest. I think there's a lot of reasons for why.
I think that's part of the problem, though.
Go on.
Sorry, I think that's part of the problem is that people overcomplicate nutrition. There's so many different crazy things that all these different diets. Like the big thing at the moment that's going around is Zoe, the app you can get where you plug yourself into a glucose monitor and they take your bloods and they figure out the exact right nutrition for you, this, that, and the other, and it costs a load of money, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but for the average Joe, you can't afford that. When actually nutrition is really simple in terms of, like, you get enough protein in, you eat plenty of vegetables, and you eat like healthy, you pick the right carbs and you stay away from shit, you're going to do okay. I think if 90% of people did that kind of thing, they'd be fine. But the problem is that people are overcomplicated sometimes, and there's so many fucking options. There's so many different diets out there: Slimming World, Weight Watchers, keto, fucking juice diet. I don't know, whatever. There's so much shit out there that they don't know what to do, and they don't like any of it. When actually, it's more a case of you just need to moderate yourself, take away the shit. But I think that's the problem.
One of the hardest things that makes this hard and makes it difficult for people is when you are eating highly processed foods, it's much harder to listen to your body and the cues it gives for being hungry, because if you're eating nothing but good food and you're getting hunger cues, as in your body is telling you, oh, you need to eat now, then you can eat. But if you're eating whole food, you're still not likely to overeat. You're likely to get decent food, and you're probably likely to pick up, if you're feeling snacky, like some fruit or just some sliced meat or something like that. So when you get those cues that your body is giving you, you're actually going to just carry on nourishing yourself with dense nutrient food. But the moment you introduce highly processed foods into your diet, and your body's giving off those hunger cues, then you'll go for a chocolate bar or a bag of crisps, which has fuck all nutritional value. I'm not saying don't eat it. I'm not going massively on that and saying, preaching it, because we eat that stuff as well. But if you are eating that stuff when your body is telling you you're hungry, then it's so easy to cram 2 meals worth of calories into a bag of crisps and a chocolate bar. Then you're getting those cues that you're hungry, you're smashing all those calories with no nutrients in whatsoever. So it takes away then your energy balance for the day, where you should be getting the good food in, the good quality food. You're not doing that because you're full up on shit. And then if you do eat more, then that just adds to your calorie surplus through the day, and that's where people put on the weight, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough one, diet, and this is one that everybody gets their being a bonnet about the most, and everybody has an opinion on it and all this kind of thing. But really, if we all ate a bit more vegetables, ate some good healthy proteins, ate healthy fats, ate some healthy carbs, and didn't eat too much shit, it would be that we'd all be very healthy. I understand that it's not as simple as that, and I'm aware of that. I struggle myself sometimes with my food. I completely understand, but it is as simple as that. And if everyone, and even government protocols, whatever, or if all the information put out was that, it would be a lot easier, I think.
Yeah. It really would. And again, it's all very well and good. People, I was speaking to a client the other day. It's one of our clients, actually, that's going through the RDA, our online thing, the RDA system. And she was saying one of the best things that she has found is that she now, when she's having these hunger cues, and because she is eating decent quality food, she feels so much more energetic, because the hunger cues are leading to her giving herself more nutrients, as opposed to a hunger cue leading for salt and sugar. It's leading to her eating fruit, nuts and stuff like that. And she said her energy levels have never felt better. And this is that most important thing. Like, when you can if you can make your life simple, if your goal is to, let's just use the most common one, if your goal is to lose some body fat, and you can stick to what you were saying about the whole unprocessed foods, then your life is going to be so much fucking easier.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
So with that in mind, I'm going to go on to white lab coat time, and let's get into a little bit of a study. So this is something that is going to seem a bit duh to most people. It's a new study. I got it here. It came out July the 12th. As of recording, this is July 16th. And this came out of Tel Aviv University in Israel. And the headline for this is 1/3 of normal weight individuals are obese, according to a study based on body fat percentage. I'm just going to repeat that quickly so this can sink into people listening. 1/3 of normal weight individuals are obese, according to study based on body fat percentage. Now, I really want to draw attention to the fact again that this says normal weight, okay? Because whenever we are talking about weight loss, what we really mean is fat loss, okay? Because normal weight doesn't mean shit if most of that weight is still coming from unhealthy fat in the body. So this is something that most people in any fitness field and quite a few medical fields have a big problem with, and that is BMI. That's what this study is basically boiling down to. So I'm going to read some excerpts from the study now. So Josh, just interrupt me if you want to add anything, okay? Researchers examined the anthropometric data of about 3,000 Israeli women and men and concluded that body fat percentage is much more reliable indicator of an individual's overall health and cardiometabolic risk than the BMI index, which is widely used in clinics today, as we know, because we have people who come to us and say what their BMI is. Just so you've got a reference point, by the way, to the audience, me and Josh are probably classed as obese on the BMI index, just so you know. Professor Gepner, Israel is a leader in childhood obesity, which surprised me, by the way, and more than 60% of the country's adults are defined as overweight. The prevailing index in this respect is BMI, based on weight and height measures, which is what BMI is, which is considered a standard indicator of an individual's general health. However, despite the obvious intuitive connection between excess weight and obesity, the actual measure for obesity is the body's fat content, with the maximum normal value set at 25% for males and 35% for females. Higher fat content is defined as obesity and can cause a range of potentially life-threatening cardiometabolic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, fatty liver, kidney dysfunction, and more. The disparity between the two indexes has generated a phenomenon called the paradox of obesity with normal weight. Higher the normal body fat percentage in normal weight individuals. In this study, we examined the prevalence of this phenomenon in Israel's adult population. The researchers analyzed the anthropometric data of 3,000. I've already read this bit. Oh, no, I haven't. The researchers analyzed the anthropometric data of 3,000 Israeli women and men accumulated over several years. BMI scores, DEXA scans, which is use an X-ray to measure body composition, including fat content, and cardiometabolic blood markers. About 1/3 of the participants, so 1,000 individuals, were found to be within the normal weight range. Of these 1,000 people, 38.5% of the women and 26.5% of the men were identified as obese with normal weight. So that means, although they look normal on the outside, they are actually obese due to their fat content. Having excess fat content despite their normal weight. Matching body fat percentage with blood markers for each of these individuals, the study found a significant correlation between obesity with normal weight and high levels of sugar, fat, and cholesterol, major risk factors for a range of cardiometabolic diseases. And this is a really important part. This is the last part I'm drawing directly from the study here. Unlike people who are identified as overweight, they receive no treatment or instructions for changing their nutrition or lifestyle, which places them at an even greater risk for cardiometabolic diseases. So this last comment in particular is for those of you out there who are in this position or whoever have commented on someone else's position where it's either said about you or you say it about someone else. Oh, they're so lucky; they're naturally skinny. They don't have to work out, and they don't have to watch what they eat. Which is all very well and good, but people in that position likely have a shitload of bad fats inside them around all their internal organs. And the reason is, if this is done in body fat percentage, if you are of normal weight but you have high body fat, what does that mean? Question to you, Josh.
You got low muscle mass.
Exactly. 10 points to Josh. That is exactly what that means. And muscle mass is what keeps us healthy, what keeps us strong. So sarcopenia is a word that is used for degradation of muscle and basically just having low muscle mass in regards to everything else. This is almost, I would say, in fact, it probably is, it's unhealthier than being overtly obese, because overtly obese people usually have a better way of identifying the fact that something is going on, and B, they actually have more muscle mass because of the extra weight they are carrying around, funnily enough. So this is a massive, massive problem, which I don't think is talked about enough. This used to be called skinny fat. I don't know if that is still a term that goes around these days, but this whole thing used to be called skinny fat, which is where you look skinny, but to be fair, you're weak as shit. You've got no muscle, and you're carrying way more body fat than you should be. So, Josh, go on. Give me some thoughts about this study.
Yeah, so I mean, it's right, isn't it? This is just, we really need to start scrapping BMI, and I understand BMI in points. There is people it does work for, in the sense of the extremely obese, etc. It does work for them, but because they are, at the end of the day, they are just too big. They need to lose some weight because for their health. But the other problem of this is body fat measurement apparatus we have, all the kind of ways in which we measure body fat percentage, are either inaccurate or too few and far between. So, like, I couldn't tell you where our nearest DEXA scan is and how easy it is to access that. You know what I mean? Not everybody has access to a DEXA scan. So unless they start making these things more readily available, that's going to be a big problem. So what's the other way we can look at it? Do we, instead of looking at body fat percentage, do we look at muscle mass and what levels of muscle mass each individual has? And there's ways you can do that in terms of just visually. You can see people if they have muscle mass on them, and then you can kind of tell how much body fat percentage they have by how shredded they are. Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. So you know that if somebody, like a male, for instance, if a male has abs and muscles and he's got capped shoulders or whatever, he's probably around the 10% mark or somewhere around there in terms of body fat percentage. A woman, you don't need to see abs on them, but you can usually tell when a woman's around 16% body fat, which is relatively healthy. Yeah. So do we have to take a different approach and look at muscle mass over body fat percentage, because the tools we have to look at body fat percentage are just not that great?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's another way to do this as well, to be honest. And I think this is why everyone should fucking strength train, because if you are strong in relation to your body fat, and if, let's say, you might be skinny fat and you start strength training, you're going to be ultimately way fucking healthier. If you're already fat and visibly fat, let's not sugarcoat it now, you start strength training, lose some fat, you're strong, you're getting skinnier, you're going to be in a healthier position. Like, if you're strength training, which everyone should fucking be, and your strength is progressing, or you're at a decent level consistently, you can tell that your body is either working better, looking better, and functioning better. Obviously, again, like with the skinny fat people, if you're strength training and you get to these certain like good strength levels, let's say, I don't know, deadlifting your own body weight, benching half your body weight, etc. We've been over this in episodes before. If you're skinny fat and then you can end up doing that, chances are you're not skinny fat anymore because your muscle mass has gone up, and that will start leveling out your body fat percentage as well. If you're already obese in terms of visibly obese and you have a lot of body fat and you start strength training, just keep on going and add a bit of cardio until you're not carrying as much body fat anymore. And that's a visible thing again to what you just said about being like visibly thing. And you don't have to be shredded, you don't have to have like visible abs, but you don't want to be obscenely fat. And if you are the other thing, if you are skinny fat, you don't want to be obscenely weak. Okay, just set yourself some markers, aim for it, strength training 3 times a week. Everyone should be doing it anyway.
And this, so people are like, we'll always get backlash on something like this, and we're not talking about, we're not judging in terms of aesthetics or anything like that. No. It's not about that. Like what studies like this are showing, and at the end of the day, this isn't the only study talking about how excess body fat percentage can cause a multitude of diseases, or a multitude of metabolic issues. So this is about health. It's not about anything else. If you have excess body fat percentage, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, whether we think it's one thing or another, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a higher percentage of dying from a multitude of things. So it's about health. And if we, it's if we don't have the access to the ability to test for body fat percentage, then we have to look at it a different way. And unfortunately, that way sometimes has to be, how do you look in a mirror? That's as simple as that.
Yeah. And look, if there's something really bad going on in America at the moment, and maybe this should probably be another fit talk for a different episode, but I'm going to bring it up now anyway. But basically, MSNBC are putting out a load of media at the moment saying that if you are into the gym and getting fit, you're pretty much extreme right wing, and it is fucking ridiculous. And it's so insane politicizing health and fitness. If you are being told and you're either incredibly weak or incredibly fat, and you're being told there is nothing wrong with that, carry on as you are, you're being fucking lied to. If you're doing that because you don't want to change and you prefer that lifestyle and you accept the risk that you are going to die younger, fair fucking play to you. That is your choice. But if you think you're going to lead a longer, healthier, healthy, like disease-free life until your 90s, you are seriously you've got some serious misconceptions about the world. And that may sound harsh, but I just want to be truthful, and I want everyone to have the same chance of living a long and healthy life as possible. And if you're incredibly weak or you're incredibly fat, you're not going to be living a long and healthy life.
It annoys me that you've got to keep politics out of health in that sense. Like, attempting to be healthier and going to the gym does not make you right wing. It makes you no wing. It just makes you want to be healthier. It's absolutely stupid that people are trying to say that. And if don't fall for that, because it's very easy with politics to fall into like those like a group hive mindset, and if everybody around you is like, oh yeah, everybody's doing that, so they're right wing, they're left wing, whatever. No, none of that matters. It's about your health and how you feel. Sack the politics off when it comes to your health.
Unfortunately, like, the most powerful country in the world is coming up to election season, and that is when everyone starts acting like children and trying to use any fucking device possible to try and counteract the other narrative. But at the moment, it's health and fitness. And there's a podcast I listen to called Mind Pump, and funny enough, they've been warning that this is going to happen for a long time. And then, lo and behold, MSNBC published that the other day, and they've got torn to shreds on Twitter, which is quite funny. But yeah, At the end of the day, though, that isn't what the point of the study was. I did detract us a little bit there, but yeah. Again, guys, if you fall into that category of being skinny but weak, like really weak, then chances are you are carrying too much body fat, not enough muscle mass. Just start strength training, and that will be the best thing you could do for your life.
Not only just start strength training, but also try and get some more protein in, and get some more calories in generally. If you have any dietary problems or any issues psychologically with food, then seek help with that. But other than that, get in touch with us. We'll help you out. We'll get you, as you have seen, we put the Fix My Diet assessment out earlier this week, so we can help you with that and have a look at your diet.
Fuck yeah. Speaking of which, let's go on to today's hot topic. Now, this hot topic is the biggest red flags we look for in someone's diet. And what I want to get out of this, I want to help you guys identify any immediate fixes that you can make in your own diet, because I want this to be as practical as possible. And this will tie in with the Fix My Diet thing. If you're struggling with any of these, just reach out to us. We've got a form out on the social media. It's going to be out for another couple of days. If you want us to help you out, just fill out that form. I want to basically enable you to be self-sufficient when it comes to making choices about the food without having to second guess, oh shit, is this the right thing? Because there's so much information out there. I saw a great reel the other day, actually, along those lines. It was a guy he goes to eat breakfast. I think he goes to eat a steak, and then he watches a reel at the same time as he's about to tuck into the steak saying, oh, don't eat steak, it's carcinogenic, it's going to be bad for you. And then he's like, okay, fine. Puts the steak aside, goes to a fruit bowl, he starts to eat fruit, and it's like, you shouldn't eat fruit. There's way too much sugar in there. It's like, all right, basically, it carries on for a load of things. You shouldn't eat carbs. And eventually, he just eats ice cubes because that's the only thing left. So there is a lot of information out there. I just want to give you tools to be able to get out of that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to list some of the biggest red flags we see when we look at people's diets. And if you identify with any of these, then that is a good place to start. And if you identify with them but want some help, just reach out to us via the form that we've put on social media, on our Facebook group, and you will be able to we'll be able to get in touch with you and help you out, basically. So number one, which is what you just alluded to, Josh, is protein intake is too low. That is obscenely common. Like the protein intake that I see probably across the board on the majority of people is their protein intake is way too low. And when I say way too low, I'm talking usually at a good end of the spectrum, probably about a third of what it should be is what I see most people sitting at. I don't know if your experience is the same in that type of metric, but that is what I see.
Yeah, do you know what I'm seeing more and more lately as well is so there's been a bit of a switch again on people going more veggie and vegan, which is completely fine. But they're going like, it's actually not the veggie and vegans that are the problem. It's the people that are going half veggie and vegan. So there's people that go like, they'll go veggie and vegan like some of the days. So what they do is they only eat protein on like 2, 3, 4 days of the week, and then don't have any protein on any of the other days. Where actually the veggie and vegans have found out a way to get protein in every single day, just in their own little way. But the ones that are doing the half and half are not really getting in protein on the days they're going veggie and vegan.
That is such a good point, man.
Yeah, that's the one I'm finding is a real big problem. And I'm like, because the veggies and vegans have figured it out. They figured it out. They're like, I'll supplement it with this, whatever. That's fine. But they're the ones that are going half and half. They're not doing that, so they're really low in protein.
Well, this started with like the meat-free Monday craze a few years ago. I remember this, and now people are just going like, like you say, half and half. That is such a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that is really good. Like you say, most veggies and vegans now they know how to get it through like pulses and stuff like that. Which again, we've said this many times. It's harder, but it's definitely possible to do it that way to get it through a fully veggie diet. But that is, that's a fucking good point. I didn't think about that at all. So just so you know, protein intake, if you don't know what that should be, then start off aiming for 1 gram per kilo to begin with. That is like the lowest possible end you want to be going for. But the ultimate goal is to be aiming for a gram per pound of body weight. Okay, so if you weigh, or if you're obese or carrying quite a lot of body fat, it's of your target body weight. Okay, so let's say you weigh, or your target body weight is 100 kilos, just to keep this simple, then you want to be aiming for about 200 grams of protein. And that seems like a lot. Most people I know are lucky if they're getting 50 to 60 in a day if they're not making it a priority. So that seems daunting. But what I will say is I don't think I've ever met anyone who should be on less than 120 grams of protein a day. So start off somewhere realistic.
You've got to be pretty small to eat less than that.
Yeah, you really do. Start off somewhere realistic where you think you can get to. There's two reasons for starting realistic. One is because if you just go from eating no protein to 200 grams of protein, it'll probably wreak havoc on your digestive system for a few days. But slowly build up to it, and the amount of people oh god, I'm exasperated a little bit right now, if that's the right word, because the amount of people I've seen who have made this change, who have gone from a veggie diet, and then because of health reasons they've said, okay, I'm actually going to try eating meat. They feel so much fucking better. And again, it doesn't have to be meat. There are other sources of it, as long as you're getting the right blend of amino acids. If you want to learn more about that, go back to our previous episodes. I think it was episode 3 or 4. I can't remember, but we went into this stuff then. But it can change your life simply by upping your protein intake and making sure, if you are doing it veggie and vegan, make sure you're getting it through the right blend of amino acids. If you're not too fussed about that, just make sure you're getting enough through good sources like fish, beef, chicken, all of that stuff, all of the meats and fishes, basically.
Yeah, that's where BCAAs come in, isn't it? Or essential amino acids. I never recommend it to people, because if you're eating enough protein, you should be getting it in. But if you're not, or you're veg vegan, then BCAAs are good. That's when they're good to take in.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note as well, if you're vegan and vegan, then creatine as well is also a massive one to get in, because it comes naturally through fish and meats, especially beef. If you're not topping that up, we create it naturally, but it's always a good thing to top up. There's loads of benefits, hundreds and thousands of studies. So yeah, just have a look into BCAAs, which is branched chain amino acids, and creatine as well. So one of the next red flag that I'm going to bring up is healthy fat intake is too low. So fat has had a bad rap ever since, I would say, late 80s and 90s. Some people have wised up to it. I think people younger than me, I guess, Josh, you count as a generation below me. I don't know what that generation's view on fats are, but back when I was growing up, fats used to be like the demon. Everything used to be low fat. I think people are wising up to it a little bit more now. But fats is so important for all your bodily functions, especially hormonal functions. So if you're not getting enough decent fats in, that can cause things like mood swings and stuff like that. So you definitely want to be making sure you are getting decent kind of fats in.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely like that when I was a kid, in terms of everything you bought that was considered healthy all had the low fat label on it. So you get low fat this, low fat that, low fat everything. And then I think that's what stopped everybody from eating too much fats. I mean, I can kind of understand why they try to do it to get people to lose weight, because fat per gram, fats are more calories. And when it comes to calories in and calories out, I get it. But at the same time, it's what people did was then just completely eradicate it from their diet, and then it's just going to cause so many more issues. And what they would just replace it with is really sugary carbs.
Yeah.
So, which is, you know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely fats are not a problem. Carbs are not a problem. Like, nothing's a problem. It's just eating the healthier version of that fat.
Yeah. And in the right ratios. Yeah, right, with the right ratios as well. So usually I recommend for my clients to be anywhere between 20 and 40% of fats depending on what kind of client they are. But if you average that out and say 30% of your calories, try to get it from as healthy fats as possible. So decent coconut oil, decent olive oil, avocados themselves, decent nuts, nut butters, decent seeds, all of these. And plus, and fish as well, because all of these things are naturally high in fat and they are natural as well, they usually come with other benefits of having a great micronutrient and nutritional profile as well. So definitely see if you can get your healthy fats in. If you're already getting high fat diet, just make sure they are as healthy as you can make them as well. So the next red flag that I see are, and this is a really obvious one, calories are either too low or too high. And this one is, you're not going to know unless you're tracking, basically. You might have an idea, like it's pretty fucking obvious if you're having a takeaway every night, eating shitloads of chocolate and crisps, and you're getting fat, then yeah, your calorie intake is going to be too high. But more and more commonly, and this is where the majority of my clients, especially my online clients, seek me out and seek us out for the RDA system and nutritional advice, is that they're trying everything, they're trying these diets and stuff, but they're just not getting any results. And more often than not, we are finding that it's because their calories are too low. And we're getting people phenomenal results by actually making sure they're hitting their calorie goals with all the above stuff taken into consideration as well, with the protein and the healthy fats.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of our clients at the moment. She was eating too little and was almost too scared to eat more. And then I think the problem is people eat too little and then end up binging at some point. And it's not about, it's about eating more calories, but eating them consistently. So eating the same calories like every day rather than being up and down all the time. It depends on what you're doing on each day. So some days, if you have a super, super active day, you can eat a little bit more. But what people think is that eating a little bit more is more like eating 500 to 1,000 calories more, when actually it's maybe just like a couple of hundred. But yeah, generally, I do find that people eat too little throughout a week and then eat more on the weekend, or they just eat too little all the time and they've kind of gotten used to that and they're running on like 30%.
Yeah.
Their energy levels are super low and they don't realize their energy levels are super low until they start eating more. And then all of a sudden they start eating more and they're like, oh shit, I actually got shitloads of energy and I can run and I can do all these things and I'm not tired all the time, which I'm not pumping myself with caffeine now. It's yeah.
Most people don't know what good feels like. And to that point you just made about they didn't know their energy levels were low, like most people don't know what good feels like, to be honest, because they've never had that consistent healthy diet, or they lost it so gradually that they've forgotten what good feels like. So yeah, that's a really good shout. So in terms of what calories you should be having, if you work out what your TDE is and work out what your calories should be, you should never be going underneath your BMR. That should be a last resort to get down to your BMR as well. What I'm going to do is link to a calculator in the show notes for this. Actually, I'm going to make a note of that right now because otherwise I will forget. Bear with me, Josh. But yeah, if you work that out, just never go below your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. There are special circumstances for this, by the way, but for, again, 99% of the population, that doesn't equate. So you need to know what that is. So go to a calorie calculator. I'll link one in the show notes. Find out what your BMR is. You never want to be below that. I've frequently come across people who are way lower than that. And the moment we raise them, they feel better. And the best message I've ever had from a client is, what witchcraft is this? You've got me eating more, yet my genes fit better. And that's what happens when you start eating properly.
Yeah, definitely.
My next red flag is food quality is low. And this can be a problem even if you are following a certain diet type. And the most obvious of these is if it fits your macros. But this can be done on any diet type, to be honest. If you're hitting your calories and you think hitting calories is good enough, and don't get me wrong, that's a really good start. Even if you're hitting your macros and you think that's good enough, that's that's the next step. But then we want to look at your actual food quality, and this comes down to a diet called If It Fits Your Macros. And this is where it was a real big craze back in the early 2010s, so probably between 2010 and 2015, where If It Fits Your Macros became really fucking popular. And basically one of the one of the peacocking things to do, or like one of the bragging rights, was, oh yeah, I can eat Pop Tarts on this, and I can eat donuts on this because it's within my macros. But that completely rules out all the micronutrients that we should be getting as well, which goes back to something we've brought up several times in this episode. We've brought it up loads of times in other episodes as well. If you're eating whole foods that come from as natural a source as possible, you're going to be taking care of your micronutrients as well. So don't eat Pop Tarts just because it fits your macros. Try to eat good quality sources of stuff 80% of the time. The other 20%, fuck me, go crazy, because you're looking after it 80% of the time. So make sure your food quality is decent.
Yeah, definitely. Food quality is so important. It's very easy for us all to just get something quick and eat some shit. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm terrible for it, and when I just forgot to prep something, so I eat something that's not the best form of quality, hasn't got much vitamins in it or whatever. But as soon as I start eating more things filled with loads of veg and everything like that, I do feel miles better. So it's definitely try and get higher quality foods in if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, and the biggest offender I see with this is breakfast time as well. So in the Western diet, standard breakfast food outside of eggs and bacon seems to be muffins and croissants and cereal and shit like that. We've brought all of those things into our breakfast routines. They're probably the worst things you can have, because they're just going to spike your blood sugar levels straight away, first thing in the day, and they're going to give you topsy-turvy energy levels throughout the whole day. So make sure your food quality, again, coupled with everything else we've said, especially protein and healthy fats, make sure you're getting some decent protein, decent fats in, and you can have carbs, that's fine, but make sure that predominantly your breakfast is based around a good source of protein and healthy fats, and I guarantee you that is going to help balance out your sugar levels for the rest of the day. But that goes into the next point as well, and that is fiber is too low. So fiber is also a big contributor to balancing out your blood sugar levels, and fiber is probably, this is another one that with my online clients that we've pulled out the bag, and it has been like one of those holy shit moments. Once the fiber gets sorted out, everything starts feeling better, because we start regulating blood sugar levels. It starts regulating energy. It starts regulating the going for a crap, basically. All of this stuff starts sorting itself out, so there's no built up crap inside. You're actually going to the toilet on a regular basis, and everything is released the right way through the body in terms of blood sugars and bits and pieces. So fiber has been a massive one that I've been looking at my clients.
Yeah, and if you're struggling to get fiber in through foods like vegetable and everything, you can start taking supplements for that. There's plenty of supplements out there for fiber, psyllium husk being one, and just what we recommend about 20 to 30 grams a day of fiber. If you can get that in, that's ideal.
Yeah, definitely. And for high fiber foods, you want to look at things like berries. They're probably the best one in terms of fruit, but any veggies and stuff like that are also going to have fiber. And there's something I brought up on the last episode as well called nutritional yeast, which is, as far as I can tell, it looks like a fucking superfood that I can't find any bad things about it. I haven't gone deep on it yet, and I know I brought it up last episode. I need to do my due diligence and look into that. But if it is as good as what I'm hearing. And Max Lugavere, who is like an absolute genius when it comes to stuff like that. In fact, I think his book is even called Genius Foods and Genius Life and Genius whatever. I think he's the one I saw tweet about this nutritional yeast. So I need to have a look into that and make sure it's as good as what it looks like. And if it is, I'm definitely going to start including that, because that is like the god of all supplements. It looks like it's got protein, fiber, micronutrients in it and everything. So, and it's gluten-free as well. So it should be. It sounds
just
like
looking
the
at it
ultimate thing.
now.
Mm.
I'm looking at it now on Amazon just to see what the price is.
It's like
Nutritional
13
yeast
quid.
is £6.10.
For how much?
£6.10 for 300 grams.
Mm.
300 grams. And a serving is, let me tell you, it won't tell me. It just says sprinkle over salads or prepared meals or used in cooking. But
So
it doesn't say what a serving is.
Per
So
100 grams, I know it has got about the same, or if not more, protein than a steak. It has got real decent fiber.
I've got it here. So per 100 grams is 49 grams of protein and 27 grams of fiber.
There you go. I mean, you wouldn't have 100 grams of it. It's not that kind of food, but have that sprinkled throughout the day on certain things. I've got no idea what it tastes like, by the way, so I'm not advocating this yet until I've actually tried some. But it is. It seems like one of those miracle foods that could almost be too good to be true. But I mean, Max Lugavere, he posted, I think it was a tweet, and he said, "Why are more people not talking about this?" So I'm definitely going to have a look into it, see if it is as good as people are making out, and I'm going to look into the other side of things, see if there's any negative effects. But yeah, if you're looking for something for fiber, then that is definitely another one, as well as, like you said, psyllium husk, and then other than that, fruits, veggies, berries, and stuff. Also, if you eat potatoes, whether that's sweet potatoes or normal potatoes, don't peel them. Same with your apples, don't peel them. Any fruit, make sure you eat the skin. Obviously, wash them first, and all of that stuff is higher in fiber. So the next 2 points I'm going to make in the red flags aren't so much about like food quality and the actual foods themselves. This is more of the mental aspect of dieting. And the next one is yo-yo dieting. The biggest problem I see of yo-yo dieting isn't necessarily the changing up of diets. It is more the regularity of which people try to change up their diets. Basically, they don't give anything a chance to work, or they'll give it 5 days, go out on a bender at the weekend, eat a fucking kebab and drink a load of beers, and then try and get back on it on Monday and still wonder why they're not seeing results. So they quit and then try whatever's on the next blooming bandwagon the next time. So yo-yo dieting is a massive, massive red flag. And the first thing that we would ask of you is a little bit of consistency, but in a very controlled way. Usually it requires baby steps to instill habits rather than just trying to make a fucking massive overhaul all at once, because that is what a yo-yo diet does.
Yeah, definitely. We've all done it, but yo-yo dieting is a massive thing. It's always what I find a big one for yo-yo dieting is people will have big success. They'll lose a load of weight on a diet, and then they'll instantly put all that weight back on by just going crazy afterwards. So it's making sure that you find a way of being maintaining after you've lost all the weight.
Yeah, definitely. And and look, it could be hard sometimes because people want immediate results, and it's frustrating when you're not seeing things straight away. But just really understand that unless you are consistent with something, and we always say give something 90 days, if you can be consistent for 90 days, you are way, way more likely to actually work out whether it's working for you or not. And usually just the fact of being consistent for 90 days will yield results, especially if you're a beginner to either dieting or that counts for exercise as well. And this goes hand in hand with my final point. That is extreme dieting. Extreme dieting, and this can be anything from extreme calorie restriction to a restriction of a certain macronutrient, or eating just one fucking thing. Like the 2 worst ones I've ever heard of, and I'm not even going to reveal the source for who I heard this from, but he should have known fucking better, is a cherry diet. This guy works in the medical field. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He tried a cherry diet. Oh, for fuck's sake. And the other one was a banana diet where this girl ate 17 bananas a day and nothing else. And yeah, that's not cool. But these things could be anything. Like at the moment, I've heard one of my clients told me something. There's something called the almond diet at the moment as well, and I was like, "Oh shit, that does not sound good." But I don't think it's as bad as what I haven't looked into it. But I don't think it's as bad as these ones. I think it is literally just making sure you have a handful of almonds every day alongside your normal food. So I don't think it's overly restricting. But be careful with any kind of diet that says you can only eat one thing or says that one thing is completely bad. Like, sure, if you want to give 90 days cutting sugar out your diet, there's not going to be a bad thing about that. But if you're trying 90 days cutting carbs completely out of your diet and you've never tried it before, which is basically keto, then you need to understand what's going to happen then. And it requires a lot of pre-planning to make sure you're getting the right kind of foods in. Can you think of any other? To be fair, the most common one for extreme dieting is just insane calorie restriction, which is a nightmare, and we kind of alluded to that.
800 calories.
Yeah,
800 calories seems to be the one, doesn't it? That seems to be the one that people get given, like the 800 only 800 calories a day. And yeah, that's great. But what happens when you just start eating food again? You're just going to put it all back on.
Yeah, and it's not worth it because you'll feel like shit in the meantime, and then it'll all change. And like that, I get sometimes people do it for events and stuff like that, like for marriage, for weddings, and for just for the day. But give yourself enough fucking prep time. Understand what your goals are for the long term, and then why not prep the right way, do things the right way the first time, so you never have to fucking do it again. Do you know what I mean? So I'm coming into a diet phase very, very soon. And for me, my dieting is going to be exactly the same as how I always eat, apart from the fact I'm going to cut out the shit food. And that's pretty much it. Like, because I haven't been tracking recently. So that's the other thing that's changed. I'm going to be tracking. I'm still going to be relatively high calorie. And then I'm going to be making sure I just make sure my food quality is as high as I can possibly get it. And that's it. And that will yield way better results.
Yeah, definitely. So, Jack, just run us through quickly the 7 points here. So just to give us a quick reminder, and then we'll close off the episode.
Yeah, cool. So the 7 points are that these are the biggest red flags we look out for in someone's diet. Protein intake is too low. Healthy fat intake is too low. Calories are either too low or too high. Food quality is very low. Fiber is very low. Or if we're going for the mental things, then it would be yo-yo dieting and extreme dieting are two very big red flags we look out for. So guys, look, if any of these resonate with you in any way, then make sure you're in our group. And on the group, you will see a featured post that contains a link to fill out the Fix My Diet form. Fill that out. We will be in contact with you and we will help you get where you need to be.
Yep, happy days. So yeah, find our Facebook group. It's the Lifting Lounge on Facebook, and you'll be able to get access to the Fix My Diet assessment, which is exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting. Very exciting. Josh, have you got anything for me today?
Yeah, I do. I always have something for you. Always have something for you today.
Oh dear.
Sorry. I just read it for the first time. Why did the sperm cross the road?
I like trying to guess these before you give me the punchline, but I don't know this one.
Because I put on the wrong sock this morning.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That's gross. That is gross.
Yeah.
I wonder if women will understand that as much as guys do. Surely they would.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Dear. Okay, then, Josh, where can these fantastic listeners find us?
They can find us at the RDA Strength System on Instagram and TikTok. They can find us on YouTube at the Lifting Lounge. They can find us on Facebook at the RDA Strength System. And they can find our Facebook group, as we said, on the Lifting Lounge as a Facebook group. So search groups, look for the Lifting Lounge. And we have our website, which is either theliftinglounge.com or therdsystem.com.
Yeah, both of which will lead you to the same place. And they can find you at Josh from the Lifting Lounge and me at Jack from the Lifting Lounge on TikTok and Instagram. And please, guys, wherever you listen to us or now watch us, please either like and subscribe on YouTube or subscribe, follow, and share us on any of the other platforms because it helps us reach more people, which is what we ultimately want to do. And we want to help as many people as possible. Don't forget about the Fix My Diet assessment. We are here to help, guys, and we are going to prove that to you by being fucking awesome and making you awesome as well. Until episode 58, that is us.
Happy days.
Happy days. Josh, enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, man.
It's Sunday. I'm going to go eat something. I'm hungry. Take it easy, guys. See you soon.
Yeah, I'm starving. Bye.